Hey guys, I'm Greg. Welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Let's go see what's in the fridge today, guys. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews. Today we got us another one sent down to us from Pennsylvania by Joe. This is Samuel Adams Rebel Rouser, and I've had a lot of my subs tell me that I needed to try this. So Joe picked one up and sent it down to me in the beer mail package that we got last week, and glad he did, because I haven't seen it around here. I'm not saying that it's not around here, but I just haven't seen it where I was able to pick it up. And a lot of stores, especially some of the Kroger stores where I buy my beers, you're not allowed to buy one. And I usually don't buy a six-pack of beers unless I've tried them before, because if I buy a six-pack of them and I don't like the first one, I got five more of them I got to suffer through. So, but anyway. I heard a lot of good things about this beer, so Joe took the liberty of picking it up and sending it to me. So Joe, thank you, sir. I do appreciate it. He's up in Pennsylvania, so hopefully he can get his hands on some nice tasty beers up there. This is brewed by the Boston Beer Company, which is Samuel Adams. They're out of Boston, Massachusetts. This is an 8.4% ABV beer. It says IBUs are 85 on this one. And Sam Adams usually either notches a label. Yeah, this says best before August of 2015. So we got quite a few months, and more than likely Sam Adams has given their beers a considerable shelf life. It doesn't tell me when it was bottled on, but August is several months away. We're in April, May, June, July, August. I would say they're giving their beers a 6-month shelf life, and that's pushing an IPA as far as I'm concerned. You have this beer in August, that's not going to taste anything like it did in February or March when it was put in the bottle. It'll still be good, being an ABV of 8.4%, but the hops will have considerably faded by then. I would try to drink these beers as fresh as possible. I tell you that all the time, guys. If you pick up an IPA or a double IPA, drink them fresh. Drink them as fresh as you can possibly get your hands on. I mean, if you get one, if you're standing at the end of the bottling line, that'd be about the way to get it, other than drinking it hot. Get it at the end of the bottling line, or when they're putting it on the truck and run it home and put it in the freezer, or whatever you need to do to chill it down, or put it in the refrigerator and drink it the following day. That's the way to drink a IPA. It really is. As fresh as you can possibly get your freaking hands on it. Alright, let's get on with this one, guys. Commercial description on this, it says this double IPA is brewed with a blend of American and Australian hops, and it's packed with fruity citrus and pine notes for a bold hop finish. I've told you the ABV and the IBUs on this. That's all the commercial description says. So we'll go over and go to the food pairings. And on the double IPAs, they go from the single IPAs of the curry to the Thai. And on the double IPAs, Rate Beer says the cuisine is barbecue. These are just suggestions, guys. Drink your damn beer with whatever damn food you want to eat with it, and drink your beer with. These are just suggestions on their website. If you want to eat and drink whatever with whatever, if it makes you happy, blows your hair back, knocks your socks off, by golly, do it. If you want ice cream and IPAs, by golly, do it. If you want chocolate cake and IPAs, I'd prefer a stout myself, but whatever you like to eat and drink together, do it. Make yourself happy. To hell with what everybody else says. I'm going to get on with this one. Cuisine, barbecue cheeses, pepper, Monterey, pepper jack, sharp, blue, cheddar. Your more pungent cheeses, Gorgonzola, Limburger. Meat is game, grilled meat, and salmon. Glassware is snifter, tulip oversized wine glass. I got my favorite glass, guys. This is the Sovereign beer glass that Paris sent me. The beer, it says, can be sold for long periods under proper conditions. Horse hockey. Drink it fresh. Drink it as fresh as you can freaking get your hands on it. I would not cellar this beer. If you see this on the shelf after August, leave it on the shelf, because the hops have faded by then. If they put this beer in the bottle in February or March, and you pick it up, it says best by August. Well, hell, it's this August or the end of July. You're going to be losing. It's going to be okay, but you're not going to get the hop presence that it was when it was first put in the bottle. Not going to happen. Not going to be that good. All right, guys. That's all we need to talk about. Let's get the damn cap off of this one and see what the hell this one's about. Heard so much about this beer. Sam Adams is what got me into beers. Boston Lager is what got me into craft beers. Man, when I first put my lips on that and drank some of that, I thought that was the hoppiest shit I'd ever tasted. Now I can't even taste the hops in that beer. So that was a great transitional beer for me. It got me off the macros. Look at the head this thing has poured. Massive head. That's what she said. About 2 fingers of head on that pour. I didn't pour it down the center, so I'm very surprised it poured that much of a head. Very carbonated. I can see the bulb right through it. Very clear. Nice orangey tangerine color. Very good looking beer in the glass. Very good looking beer in the glass. Let's get a nose on it, see if I can smell anything through this massive head it's got. Yes, very piney and citrusy. And it says right here on the label, West Coast style. So this is the East Coast brewery attempting to do a West Coast style beer. And I'm going to give it, there's a lot better West Coast beers done as far as the aroma that I'm getting from this. But don't get me wrong, it smells very pleasant. I'm getting a lot of pine and a lot of citrusiness in there. A hint of some grapefruit in there. Very nice aroma for an East Coast beer company attempting the style. And like I said, if they use a lot of the Pacific Northwest hops and Simcoe and all that kind of stuff, a lot of times they can replicate that. But I've really not got a lot of West Coast smells and taste from Australian hops. I just haven't. I mean, some of their hops are a lot different than what they grow on the West Coast. But still, it's got a very pleasant aroma, very citrusy, very piney. A lot of grapefruit going on there. So let's see what it brings to the table. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Joe. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate it. I do get the presence of those Australian hops, though. To me, they got a little bit more earthy, musty, floral aroma rather than the piney up in your face type hops that they grow out on the West Coast. Very decent. Not a lot of alcohol in the taste. Slight, just a very, very slight hint of the 8.4%, but still fairly well made. Samuel Adams has a warm spot in my heart because they are the ones that got me into craft beers. Even though they make a whole lot of tasty transitional beers. The Boston Lager, a lot of stuff they do in their winter pack. I mean, the Fezziwig and everything that you see that they do that intentionally. They make a lot of transitional beers just to get the macro lager guys, the guys that drink Bud Miller, Coors, off of that stuff to try something with just a little more taste. And they make those beers not to be so bold and just so over flavorful that it just turns everybody's nose up that's trying to get into something different. They brew those low taste and low ABV beers. A lot of their beers are around 5%. Very easy drinking, very sessionable, if you will. that has a little more taste than what those guys have been drinking, just to get them in the door, just to get them into something with a little more taste. And when, of course, Sam Adams does make some high-dollar beers or big ABV beers. And you'll see them in bigger bottles and different bottles than what you see here in this little 12-ounce bottle. But this is pretty tasty. I mean, this might be one that you would want to try after you've had one of the regular ones. Maybe after you've been drinking Boston Lager for a couple of months, or something with a little more taste. But I wouldn't think I would want to go from a Budweiser to this. I mean, it's going to just blow your palate out of your mouth. But for somebody that's used to drinking something like a Stone Enjoy by, this is not going to hold a candle to that. It's just not. It's just not going to do it. But it's not probably going to be quite as expensive as that, even though, I mean, I can pick up the bombers for around between $13 and $14, and the 6-pack of the Stone Enjoy by is about $17. So not the cheapest beer. If you're paying $17 for a 6-pack of beer, or you're paying $10 for a 6-pack of beer, or you're paying $6.99 or $5.99 for Budweiser, big difference there. I mean, you go from, and a lot of times you catch it on sale, it's even cheaper than that, because they can afford to give it away just about, because it hardly costs anything to make that stuff. But anyway, this is about this beer. It's decent. It is decent. Don't know if it's quite to the A category or not, but we're going to sip on it a little while. Straight out of the fridge. We still got about, I don't know, a quarter finger of lacing on there, and you can see it's leaving a very impressive lacing. It is a well-made beer, guys. There's no doubt it's a well-made beer. Sam Adams makes some very tasty stuff. Yeah, it's decent. But it's right out of the fridge at 40 degrees, so let's let it warm up a hair, let her taste it, and I'll come back and give you a final grade chug on this one. Don't know if it's going to get the A, though. I'll be right back, we'll find out. Alright guys, I'm back, got just a little left here, been sipping on it probably about 30 minutes or so. Very nice. I mean, if I was Sam Adams, I wouldn't put West Coast style on the beer, because it's really not a great example of a West Coast style beer. The hops are not that up in your face and all that. It is very pleasant, very nice, and the pineiness and the grapefruitiness, but it is no Stone Enjoy by any means, guys. It really isn't. But it is very tasty. Got all the information on the bottle that you need, the date, or actually the best buy date. It doesn't tell you what the bottled on date is, I don't think. Let me see. Man, it's got a code underneath the top label here. It says CO7151504. Don't have a clue what that means. And on the back side, it's got 07151501. So, don't have any idea what that's supposed to mean. Maybe it was the 71st day of 2015 would be what that would be. CO715. I don't have any idea. I'm just throwing a wild guess out there, guys. Would much rather see the bottled on date instead of an enjoy by date. I tell you that, guys, all the time, because some craft breweries will put a 3-month shelf life, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and I'm thinking they put a 6-month shelf life on this, and that is way too long for an IPA, guys, or a double IPA. You definitely would want to have this and expect a great, super hot presence on a beer that's been in the bottle 6 months. So, just my opinion. But that's the way I feel about it anyway. I'd rather have this thing when it's a month old or 2 months old instead of 5 or 6 months old. So, but Joe, thanks again for sending this one down. I've not been able to pick this particular one up here around here, so let's do the final chug on this one. Got a great aroma, very citrusy. I'm getting a little bit of pine and the grapefruit in there, but it's not over the top. I mean, it's to me, my opinion, it's not a great example of a West Coast style. It is a good example of an East Coast brewery attempting a West Coast style. So, Very nice, very enjoyable. The alcohol is fairly well hidden. It does have a strong bitterness on the back end for a double IPA. I think it could be just a tad sweeter on the front end to match up with that bitterness. But they're only saying it's only got like, what did I say it was? Oh, it's 85 IBUs, so that's about right. It's pretty big IBUs. I was thinking it was down in the 60s or 70s, but it's 85 IBUs, and I'm getting every bit of that bitterness. So I think it could be just a tad sweeter on the front end to match up with all that bitterness that's on the back end. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a very decent, definitely above average beer. A very nice imperial or double IPA, if you will, but I don't think they should put West Coast style on there. It's really not getting the pungentness of those West Coast hops like they do out there. It doesn't have the super grapefruity, piney, tropical fruit notes to me. And I'm on the fence here between a B+ and an A-. It's giving you all the information, but I don't like, by looking at the label, that they're giving it 6-month shelf life. I'm not impressed by that whatsoever. I don't think it deserves a 6-month shelf life. 3 months would probably be the maximum on this to get the true hop presence that you're gonna get from this. Like I said, this is going to taste completely different a month in the bottle as opposed to 6 months in the bottle. It really is. It's going to be more maltier than it is hoppy. So don't like that they're giving it that long of a shelf life. And that's probably why I'm not going to give it the A-. I'm going to give it to B+. So in my scale, B+ is a 7. So that's what I'm going to give this beer. It's a 7. If I was putting a numeric rating on this, it would probably be an 89. That would be what I give because of that 6-month shelf life. It's a tasty beer, guys. Don't get me wrong. Definitely above average. Kicking the door in on the A scale. But giving a beer a 6-month shelf life, they're just increasing the money in their pockets by doing that. When you see that, oh, it's within the shelf life. 6 months is a long time for a double IPA. Over to Beer Advocate. Beer Advocate gives it an 86. So I'm giving it a few notches better than that. I'm giving it an 89. And over to Rate Beer. Rate Beer says 89, but 47 in the style. So don't think it's quite up to par to be called a West Coast style beer. There are better West Coast style beers out there. I think it's a good attempt for an East Coast brewery to do that, to try to make it a West Coast style. And there's a lot of East Coast breweries that are doing that and succeeding in doing that. This one is just a tick under the bar as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, I could just as easily gave it that, but that 6-month shelf life in the bottle is an off-putting thing to me. I don't think they should try to shelf like this thing for 6 months. I really, really don't. All right, you got the grades from me and you got the grades from them. If you've had this from Sam Adams or Rebel Rouser, let me know what you think. And Joe, thank you, sir, for sending it to me. I did enjoy it. It was very, very tasty. A nice attempt at a West Coast style double IPA. So if you've had it, let me know what you think, guys, and let's go see what's in the fridge tomorrow. See you then.